Guys, welcome to what is effectively series 2 of the podcast, which I'm calling the Summer Diaries. I'm going to release shorter, more frequent episodes of the podcast through the summer, and I'll explain today why that is. It's just an opportunity to do something a little bit different. They're going to be more raw, less scripted, lighter on the edit, just to give an opportunity to talk about a few different things, try a few different formats out. But the main reason is that I like to intentionally slow down a little bit through the summer months with my work, and scripting, researching, planning the podcast takes a lot of time and effort. Not to mention the edit that follows on as well. So by releasing shorter episodes off the cuff, without any scripting or without any planning, really, it gives me the opportunity to keep the podcast going, share ideas, give you insights, but in a way that works for me and my work schedule through the summer. So today's episode is just going to be a little bit about my summer plans. And then I'll do future episodes on ideas I'm thinking about, things I agree and disagree strongly with. Might do a few Ask Me Anything type episodes. I'll give some updates of the things that we are doing in the community, and on and on. But today, just a little bit of an update on my plans for the summer, both with my work and in the business, but also personally with training, nutrition, and my health and physique goals as well. Firstly, business, because that's most relevant to why I'm taking a different approach to the podcast. I realized late last week that the last week in June was my last 5-day working week for 2 months, until September, basically, because while the kids are off in the summer holidays, which is in a couple of weeks' time, I intentionally work part-time. Last summer, I did it. I worked 3 days a week, spread over 5 days or 4 days. And that allowed me to still make sure all my clients were taken care of, all the coaching, the operations, and the non-negotiable stuff still happened in the business. But I just took my foot off the gas when it came to growth projects like making improvements to the Mind and Matter Method program, doing big strategic growth phases and launches and things like that. And it was lovely to do that. And I'm doing the same thing this year. So through the summer holidays, because my kids are with me the first half of the week, and then they go to the mums, and then we alternate weekends. For Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, going to be working a lot less. Thursday, Friday, working full days. And that will even out over the course of a week to approximately 20 hours of work. I'm a huge fan of the idea of seasonality when it comes to any big project or any big goal you might have. So a classic example is you really push your training and nutrition hard through the winter months, whether that be with a fat loss related goal or a hypertrophy and muscle gain related goal, knowing that you can pull back a little bit in the summer. Naturally, through July and August in particular, for me, I've got more social stuff on. We've got holidays, we've got trips, seeing friends. And that means that a really aggressive plan for training and nutrition for either fat loss or for hypertrophy and performance gains is not that realistic. Whereas through the winter, I don't really do anything. I'm at home more. I go to the gym. I come home. I work. I sleep. I spend time with my family. That's pretty much it. From October, November time through till March. And yeah, I'll still have social stuff on, but my calendar socially will be a lot lighter. So that is a great time for me to really get after it. And that goes not only for training and nutrition, but also for my work. So what I want to get to, long-term vision for Mind and Matter Fitness, is that I'm able to use the 6 months of the year from September, October time through till March, April. It doesn't have to be exactly 6 months. To really push on with the business, to really look strategically at what the biggest levers are that I can pull that will allow me to reach more people, create more impact, and yes, grow the business and make more money. And then through the summer months, ease off a little bit. Still work, still do launches, still make sales, still make sure my clients have a fucking awesome experience and get the best possible results. That is always my number one priority, client experience and client results. But that can happen whilst still not giving myself a hard time about doing more. And that's my plan for July and August. So we've got a couple of weeks before the summer holidays, but I realised that This week, I was off on Monday. So this week is a 4-day week. Then next week, I've got a 2-day week. And then I come back, I've got a 2 to 3 day week, and then it's the summer holidays. So just reflecting on the things that need to happen and the things that I can ease off. So client check-ins, client reviews, client calls, program updates, community, all of those things will keep going because they are the non-negotiable operational parts of the business. But starting massive new projects on improving my email ecosystem or creating strategic partnerships with other people or brands that might be mutually collaborative, or being really ambitious with a podcast schedule where I'm going to record a long form episode every other week, or with either solo or with a guest. Those things don't need to happen. And that's the reason why I can just do shorter, unscripted, unplanned episodes like this one, so that the podcast keeps going, because I love doing it. I love sharing it. And I know my clients and other people get a lot out of it, but in a way that works for me and my summer plans, because planning for the podcast takes a couple of hours, then recording it takes an hour, then editing it and creating short form clips to act as reels on Instagram, YouTube, etc. takes another couple of hours. So that's almost a day. And I don't do it every week. That's a day of work, or 5 hours of work, say, over the course of 2 weeks. But still a significant chunk of time, especially if I'm only working 2 to 3 days a week. So that's my plan for the next 2 months: to embrace seasonality, to enjoy the summer, to spend more time outdoors, and most importantly, spend more time with my kids when they're off school, because we never get that time back. And then come back towards the end of August, start of September, and really look at what I want to achieve within the business and in my work over the rest of 2025. To that end, we're like halfway through the year exactly. And great time to just reflect on your progress so far with your projects and your goals. And if I think about what I wanted to achieve this year in the business, I was determined to make this the year I went from just making enough money to live to actually making enough money to live now, improve my quality of life, but also invest in my future, my family's future as well. And there have been ups and downs. April in particular will stick in my mind as one of the most stress-inducing months that I've ever had in the business, if not the most stress-inducing. Last September might be on a par as well, for reasons I won't go into here. But let's just say that things did not go as I wished they would in either September 2024 or April 2025. That led to a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, a lot of worry. But apart from April this year, every other month has been massively positive. And the last couple of months in particular, May and June, have been incredible. They've been a real moment of leveling up. So getting to that next level of the business where I'm thinking about things differently, more in a kind of CEO mindset rather than assuming I have to do every single thing, looking at how I can create more leverage, spending more time on strategic work that only I can do, looking at how I can make everything that I do uniquely mine. So really crystallizing the ideas that support Mind and Matter Fitness and the method and the program and the podcast and everything else. And hopefully that's come across when I've been talking more about real training, the anti-diet method, imperfect consistency, the Mind and Matter way, what we are looking to achieve, new definitions of masculinity, because these are the ideas that really light a fire in me, and they're the things that only I can talk about because they are my ideas. So leaning into that a lot more, which is very exciting. And it's not only about just sharing those ideas, but it's important to get that feedback loop of this is working, and it is absolutely working. So things are going really well. And it's the perfect time for me to not rest on my laurels, but appreciate that. Not just assume, got to keep going, grow, because I've had a couple of really positive months. I intend for the next couple of months to be really positive as well, without expecting that they're going to be huge step changes. But all of this time that I get to rest, recover, reflect a bit more over the next couple of months while I've got more time means that I should be set up for a really positive end to the year as well. Just as the last 3 months of last year were the most positive, part of the year for the business. I'm expecting this to just be the start. And it's really exciting to be in motion. It's really exciting to be making progress. It's amazing to see my clients absolutely killing it, sharing their wins. The community is growing. There's a really positive atmosphere within the community of clients, and the guys in there supporting each other, motivating each other, being open and vulnerable about their problems as well. That's super important. And just having that space for people to share that without chewing their family's ear off about their bench press PR or some new high protein recipe they're going to try is incredible. And I'm really proud of it. I'm really pleased with how things are going. And I intend to enjoy and appreciate that over the next couple of months. So I'm still going to be writing. I'm still going to be sharing ideas. I'm still going to be creating the podcast just in a bit of a different way. And then I'll come back towards the end of August and probably share some ideas about what I hope to achieve over the rest of the year, business-wise. So that's my plans for the summer with Mind and Matter Fitness. With my personal physique and health goals, TRT is going really well. I am noticing that training progress is coming a lot easier than it used to. Like, it's actually working as it should do, and as it does for my clients who don't have low testosterone. I feel like I have gained some muscle without necessarily making that my main focus over the first half of this year. So my main priority was getting out of injury. That's why I started TRT. I wanted to get out of pain. Shoulder pain, I had a frozen shoulder. Back pain, I've had on and off chronic back pain for the last 5 years. I've had patellar tendonitis in both knees, ironically, that came about through some rehab work I was doing for my back. And then I've had a foot problem in one of my heels as well that's made running difficult. Well, my shoulder is completely fixed. My back pain was a 9 out of 10 in January, and it was crippling my mental health. It was down to a 3 out of 10. Now it's down to a 2 out of 10. I'm introducing new exercises, new movements. It's exciting. I can do leg training again. And my knees are, I would say, 1 out of 10 to fixed. So all of that has gone really well. And that's allowed me to free up some headspace to think about other health-related goals. So I want to get back to doing some cardio. I've done no cardio over the course of this year until the last couple of weeks. I really need to work on that. That's a big gap at the moment in my program. And it's because I've been spending like 3 workouts out of 7 on rehab. So that's changing a little bit. I'm introducing more functional movements. I'm doing more plyometrics, doing some medicine ball stuff, some jumps. And I've started doing some incline treadmill walking in the last couple of weeks, mainly because that supports my current goal of losing a bit of body fat. So I hadn't tracked my diet at all for the first half of the year. I was really freewheeling it. And I was all right with that because it wasn't the priority. I didn't mind that I was gaining a little bit of body fat. I figured I was probably gaining some muscle as well. Multiple people have commented on that and said my back looks bigger. Very nice to get these comments, by the way. My shoulders, my arms, my back in particular, I think have grown. I'm working on my chest, always my weakest point. My back looks really good, especially after a workout. My chest, unless it's pumped from doing a chest workout, tends to be a lot smaller. So that is my priority, to get some more balance in my upper body physique. I'm working on it and I'm hitting PRs and doing the best I can there. All that said, I definitely gained some body fat and I'm feeling a little bloated, and I needed to get a bit more of a handle on my nutrition. Now I'm training more and doing less rehab, so that where I want to be by September is lean and mean and ready for a long, productive gaining phase through September to, say, April next year. And in order to do that, I want to start from a leaner base, because where somebody asks me, I don't know whether I should lose body fat or gain muscle, what should my protocol or what should my approach be right now? The question to ask is always, are you comfortable with gaining a little more body fat over the course of the next 3 to 6 months? Because if you're not, that tells you that you're starting from too high a body fat. We will always do everything we can to reduce and minimize body fat gain during a gaining phase, but it's inevitable to some extent because you are putting your body in a state of surplus. You are eating enough so that your body can build new tissue. And if you want to give yourself the best chance of doing that, you have to accept that you might gain 1 to 2 kilograms of body fat, which can be a bit of a head fuck, especially if you've worked really, really hard to get lean. and do that last ever hard diet, the focus phase, as we call it in the Mind and Matter method, to shift out of that mindset and think, oh God, I look bloated again, or I look soft, I don't look as lean and defined as I did, can be difficult. And that's why we take a slow and steady approach to that, to really minimize the risk of fat gain, but it can still happen. So all that said, I probably got 3 to 4 kilograms more body fat that I want to lose before I would start a gaining phase in September. But I'm on that journey now. I was at 72, 73 kilograms a few weeks ago when I started the fat loss phase. I'm now down at about 70. I haven't weighed myself for a week or so because I had a couple of days away in Manchester watching Japanese breakfast with Lucy and eating lots of delicious food and drinking more alcohol than I otherwise would. So it didn't make sense to weigh myself, but my goal is to get down to about 67, I think, or maybe it'll be a bit lighter by August, factoring in the fact that I've got 2 trips coming up next week, and then inevitably there'll be more trips and weeks off, holidays and stuff like that over the course of July and August. Just little breaks, no massive thing. So kind of working around those to look at which weeks I can speed up and really get after it, and really aim for fat loss, and which weeks I'm just going to maintain. So effectively what I'm doing is I'm doing a fat loss phase, but I'm doing it around trips where I know that I'm going to be eating more, I'm going to be drinking more, but just accepting that. And I reckon by the end of August, at the latest, I'll be where I want to be. I looked at 2 photos side by side, me at 70 kilograms this year and me at 70 kilograms about 14 months ago. I look pretty different. I look leaner now at 70 kilograms than I did last year, which is a great sign that something positive has happened as a result of TRT, gaining muscle, and all of that. So that's good. Then come September, make some tweaks to my nutrition, probably make some tweaks to my training, and aim for a long hypertrophy phase. What I want to make sure I do this time is maintain a cardio base. So I don't want to be where I am now again. I don't know what my resting heart rate is, but it's higher than where I want it to be. I like it to be in the 50s. It's definitely not at the moment, I would imagine, because I haven't done any hard cardiovascular activity for so long. So I've started reintroducing that slowly and carefully, just so I don't want to trigger any pain or injuries that I've had previously. But getting back on the incline treadmill walking again as of this week feels good. Feels good apart from anything else, just to get a sweat on and get my heart rate up. I think you get a different buzz from that than you do from weightlifting, which also does give me a buzz. So that's it, guys. I'm going to close this one here, and then probably going to record another episode about the nutrition approach I am taking to my fat loss phase, because that's something that we are doing as a group, as a tiny experiment within the community. And I think it warrants its own episode. So have a good one, guys, and I'll see you soon.